Welcome back to the Patriotic Preachers Podcast. I'm Michael Farr. There's Cody Arbor.
Yo.
And we're back.
We are back.
In the studio, recording.
We're really just out here at the shed.
We just like to have fun with it.
We mostly just sat out there in the shed.
I like being on the podcast.
Alright then.
But, so, we thank you, though, for listening to the podcast. We can't do this without you. And, I've been working on getting us some sponsors. Yeah, so,
Fascinating.
Hopefully here in the next couple weeks. Everybody tells me 3 to 5 business days. I don't understand.
Well, it's like they're shipping you something.
Yeah.
Only manly sponsors, though.
Right.
Yeah. Nothing weird.
Yeah, I'm working on some nice ones, some real broad ones, and hopefully we can narrow them down. But if you want to be a sponsor, if you've got something you want to sponsor, we're consistently reaching. Right now, we're hoping to grow, but we're consistently reaching per episode about 30 people.
That's pretty good for a fresh show.
Yeah, for fresh show. So, I understand that I'm not going to, with my endeavor right now, I'm not going to get anything past, and I'm not going to name anybody, because if they go and they listen, I'm not talking bad about the companies, but we're not going to get anything past a certain level of sponsorship, which is fine. But we want to grow.
It's not like we're getting SIG.
Yeah.
Although we take them.
We take them.
Yeah. If y'all want to throw anything this way,
right.
we'll definitely take it.
Yeah.
Or Trigicon.
Yeah.
Trigicon, if you'd like to throw me
yes.
a new RMR, since mine broke Saturday, sadly.
Man.
Thank goodness I wasn't in a gun battle on the streets of America. Fortunately, I was just at the range.
What them backup sights are for.
That's right. You don't need sights.
Just
accuracy through volume.
That's why there's 16 rounds.
That's right. If you can't solve a problem in 5 or 6 rounds, you don't need to be doing it.
I don't shoot nothing unless it's 45.
Well, I don't carry anything unless it's at least a 50 BMG.
Well, we're talking about guns, and rightly so. We're going to be talking about the NRA. Most of you think that stands for National Rifle Association.
You would be wrong.
That's absolutely wrong. What does it stand for, Brother Cody?
Not real activists.
Ooh, shots fired. I wish we had a panel of just sounds. Yeah.
Send them a volley.
Yeah, shots fired. So if you are a gun-toting, Second Amendment-loving, Constitution-carrying
patriot,
there we go, that's the word I'm looking for, then you know who the NRA is, and you're probably a supporter of them, if not monetarily, through your ideas. Well, we're here to tell you today that the NRA is nothing but a circus, and they're not what you think they are.
They are absolutely
They've
not.
They've never been what you think they are, and we're going to talk about that today.
Sadly.
On this episode. I wish they were what we thought they were, but they're not. They've never been that. And so I've been doing some research on them. I've learned a lot. I didn't know as much as I know now. That's a strange thing when you begin to learn about something.
Mm-hmm. Your brain actually reprograms. It's really weird.
Yeah.
I've thought about that before. Not to wax philosophical, but when you learn something, cells in your brain, it's so weird. It's like they're just globs of goo, but they retain. It's goofy to me. But I learned a lot about it in the last year, the NRA position, because I've been an NRA member off and on for the last 15 years. I've been to NRA conventions in Atlanta and got to meet some of the people there. It was a pretty cool experience, but post the Vegas shooting, a lot came out with the NRA. Bump stocks, we'll get into that probably here in a minute, but a lot of their motives and the way they've done things over the years was really, they were forced to play a hand, and it was very disappointing the way that it played out.
Yeah, most definitely. So before we jump into this too deep, let's give you a history lesson on the NRA. The NRA was founded in 1871 after the Civil War because Colonel William C. Church hated that the Union soldiers couldn't shoot a gun. And so he and George Wingate decided to create an organization dubbed the NRA, the National Rifle Association, to promote, this is a quote from their startup idea, to promote and encourage rifle shooting on a scientific basis. So the NRA was born in 1871. In 1892, the NRA had to move headquarters from New York to New Jersey because people were rioting near about because there was a group promoting the shooting of firearms. So
way back then,
in 1892, New York was already had it with weapons.
Poor New York.
So they moved to New Jersey. In 1903, the NRA began to promote shooting sports for young Americans. So far, so good. We're doing all right. But I hope that you already realize they were not created to be a beacon of light for your Second Amendment rights.
Yeah.
They were created to be an appreciation organization for the shooting of rifles. So
I suppose back then there was not nearly the threat. So there may not have been really a cause to have a national lobbying group like we do now. So I can see, why they were built the way they were.
Exactly. 1949, the NRA creates their first hunter education program, beginning to teach hunters really, what you should do for hunting safety, how you should shoot, and all this kind of stuff. 1960, the NRA becomes the only national, that's the key word, national training of police officers. They are nationally trained police officers, where police officers had state training. Now there's a national. So far, so good. We're teaching gun safety, gun education. I like what it is. Additionally, the NRA trains at this point until present day, about 125,000 certified trainers train about 1 million civilians yearly.
Yeah. Let me interject here. An NRA certified instructor means nothing.
Yeah.
If you go and take a class from an NRA certified instructor, now I'm sure there are good ones out there, but the overall pool, what it takes to be an NRA instructor, I could probably get a porcupine up to speed in a weekend.
Yeah.
I'm a shooter. I make no apologies about it. I know more than most. I can shoot better than most people. I ain't good at hardly nothing else, but I'm really good at that.
Yeah.
And the guys I've shot with, there ain't a shooting instructor one out there that's worth his salt that lists his NRA certification at the top of his pile of sheets. Usually it is something that's required to have if you're going to teach people how to shoot. But NRA certified instructor don't mean a whole lot, so just take that with a grain of salt.
And then in 1990, the NRA established the NRA Foundation. Now, beginning in 1990, they are a tax deductible nonprofit organization. 501c3, that's it. Yeah. For gun safety, they established this for gun safety and gun educational programs. Still pretty good.
Yeah.
This made them, like I said, I've already said that, nonprofit 501c3. Now, beginning in 1990, they're viewed, now today. Today, they are looked at as a major political ally in the fight for constitutional rights, specifically regarding the Second Amendment. Why? Wrong answer.
Your mother, Trebek. No, it is not so.
People often ask, because of that, since they're so pro Second Amendment, why does the NRA? Why have they begun to promote unconstitutional gun laws? The answer is they've never been quite pro gun as what you think. They've been pro gun safety, but they've never been pro gun like you think. Pro Second Amendment. They've just always been on the safety side of things, which is not a bad thing. We like gun safety, but because of some certain things I'll get to here in a second, now they're viewed as the beacon of light for the Second Amendment, but that's never what they've been.
Do you know, listening audience and Micah, do you know what the term a FUD is?
Give me the definition.
A FUD. So, Elmer Fudd, the cartoon character, why squeak wabbit? A FUD means you're somebody who likes upland duck hunting, bird hunting, clay pigeon. A picture of a FUD is an old dude with the clothes, the little brown drab olive uniform on, and he's out there upland bird hunting, or he's deer hunting. The NRA is made up mostly of FUDs, and they're not for the tactical stuff. They're not for defensive shooting necessarily. They've basically been drugged kicking and screaming into the defensive tactical double stack handgun AR platform rifle, which is the most popular growing category of firearms in the country, and it has been since 1994 when the assault weapons ban sunset in 2004. it opened up. It just coincided with the war on terror. We had a lot of boys going overseas. Mm-hmm. When they came back to the States, they were fond of the type of guns that they had been shooting. The assault weapon ban had expired in 2004. And so from 2004 on, the AR category, the self-defense category, shows on TV, movies and video games. Mm-hmm. I'll give credit where credit's due. Call of Duty, those type games and things like that have pushed a lot of people into the realm of not just duck hunting and deer hunting and stuff like that, into the Second Amendment. What it really is the tactical world, right? Which I don't even like the word tactical because it's overused, but the world of defensive firearms use. Yeah. The NRA has been dragged along reluctantly into supporting that, even though a lot of them really don't. They don't like it. They never liked it. They have historically opposed things that you would think they would be for.
They support the promoting and encouraging of rifle shooting on a scientific basis.
That's what they're for. Yeah, they're not really for black rifles, AKs, suppressors,
recreational shooting.
Right, and this came to light really a couple years ago with the Vegas shooting. Yeah. So the guy in Vegas used AR platform rifles. He used bump stocks, which we can go off on a tangent about bump stocks. But the NRA, and they've done this many times for different issues, they rolled over and they gave up bump stocks to the political powers that be. They said, hey, cool, we'll back you if you do a bump stock ban. And, give the left something. And so they rolled over on bump stocks, and a lot of people had a problem with that, not necessarily because they were for bump stocks. Bump stocks is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life, but I ain't for banning them.
The only thing more stupid than a bump stock is a high-point yeet cannon.
Oh, the yeet cannon. The preferred sidearm of the gangster impaired. The yeet cannon. So I hate bump stocks. I've seen them in stores for a decade, and that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But I'm not for banning them. Yeah. Because banning them does nothing. No. It doesn't solve the problem. And I'm especially not for banning them the way they were done, which is through the ATF making a ruling. The ATF flip-flops technical rulings several times per year. Yeah. The little pistol brace that I want to say, was it SIG? The SIG pistol brace that SIG came out with. They got approval for the ATF to release that and call it a brace instead of a stock, so that you wouldn't have to get an NFA tax stamp and have a short-barreled rifle. You create an AR that's quote-unquote a pistol, and you put the brace on instead of a traditional stock. It does the same thing as a stock. Everybody bought them because it was a workaround for the ATF's little ruling there. Yeah. So fast forward 2 years, the ATF changes their mind. Yep. And the ATF says if you shoulder this thing, it's a felony. So you got a couple 100,000 dudes out there with short-barreled pistol, quote-unquote ARs, but they're just a short rifle. Yeah. And they've been buying these pistol braces. They were designed for handicapped people to be able to shoot them one-armed. Yep. Ain't nobody in the world bought that for that. No. They bought it because it was a workaround. And so now they say, if you shoulder this, it's a felony. Come on, son. Mm-hmm. Come on, son. Y'all alphabet boys try and get that boogaloo on.
Yeah, but not too much longer after that, they reversed their decision. And now you can shoulder it.
And so when we get down to, we have strayed so far from the way this is supposed to work that we're letting an alphabet agency make you a felon one day and not a felon the next. There are no congressmen involved.
Right. It's aggravating. They can make laws.
They're just making laws at the stroke of a pen.
Take laws away, make them, take them away.
And the NRA is complicit in that junk. Yeah. They're going right along with it. And again, bump stocks, stupid. But don't give up anything. We've gave up enough.
Every gun law is unconstitutional.
Every one of them.
Every one.
And it's not... Oh, my goodness. It just gets me so...
Outside of you committing and being convicted, the conviction there is very important. Being convicted of 12 men or women, just 12 of your peers.
Well, it's
in a
gender non-binary.
12 people.
Humans. And maybe a cat.
In the jury, you're convicted of a violent crime, murder, rape, domestic violence, robbery, so on and so forth.
Tearing a tag off a mattress.
You forfeit your right to that Second Amendment, but also, lest we forget, you forfeit your right to vote also in that situation.
Short of that.
Yeah, short of that, every gun law is unconstitutional. from the stupidity of bump stocks. If you take them away, if you ban them through legislation, it's unconstitutional. Yeah. Especially when you don't go through the due process. Yeah. And just hang on to those two words because we're going to get there here in a second. But especially when you work around the due process of how legislation is supposed to be. It goes through the House, then to the Senate, then to the desk of the president. You've worked around that. You've given this to the ATF, and now just on a dime, willy-nilly, the ATF can make millions of people felons. They could do it tomorrow.
Yeah, and they've wanted to do it with other things. Yeah. Bump stocks is just one. And for those of you who do not know, I can do the same thing that a bump stock does with a rubber band. I can do the same thing that a bump stock does with a belt loop. Yeah. So it is a stupid thing to make a law against because it ain't going to do nothing.
Right.
But they've also recently, and it didn't really go anywhere, but they wanted to ban, the same way they did bump stocks, what they called rate increasing devices, which was your aftermarket AR trigger that you can drop in that's got a 2.5 or 3 pound nice crisp break to it.
And how much faster does that make the rifle?
Here's the question. What is the standard rate of fire for a semi-auto rifle? There is no standard rate. So what's
my standard rate is faster than yours because I can pull my finger faster.
This is my safety. Yeah. And for those of you who are in the know, I am quoting the stupid part of Black Hawk Down. Your safety's on the side of the rifle, it ain't your finger. But it was a funny part in the movie. The NRA, if they were what we thought they were or what we wanted them to be, it would be great. We do need a powerhouse lobbying group.
Yes.
But they ain't it, guys. The NRA ILA, the Institute for Legislative Action, the branch of the NRA that is supposed to be the strong arm that's, when you picture them in the courtroom and they're doing all the legal stuff. Mm-hmm. Chris Cox heads that up. I want to like the guy, but they're sellouts. Yeah. Wayne LaPierre, other than having a really big comb over, ain't got a lot going for him.
Right.
They're sellouts.
Yeah.
So
they've always been. They've never been. Rather, I should say it that way. They've never been a big proponent of the Second Amendment. The NRA worked to have legislation passed for convicted felons of violent crimes to not be able to have weapons. Okay, I'm cool with that. I'm fine with that.
All right, that makes sense.
But that's talking about murder, assault, domestic violence, etc. We already talked about that. I'm cool with that. But then they fought to have states require permits for concealed carry. Why?
Yeah.
My permit is the Constitution.
It's just like the sheriffs. Every time it comes up, Alabama tried to vote in constitutional carry 5 or 6 years ago. Right. The Alabama Sheriff's Association said,
they were mad.
Oh, well, we're going to have guns in cars on the street. That's Alabama. There's already a gun in every car.
They just want
and
the
there's
money.
No proof of that. Every state that's passed constitutional carry, the crime rates have either went down or stayed the same. Yeah. They just want the $20. Yeah. You know what? I'll give you $20. Have a fish fry.
Right.
I am a reserve for our county.
Yeah.
Okay. I like all them dudes.
Well, look, I don't see where my $100 every 5 years is going anyway.
Now, if y'all need the money, let's have a bake sale.
Yeah.
But
sell me a brownie.
I ain't about giving you. I've got a 5-year concealed carry permit, but a concealed carry permit is unconstitutional.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Stupid.
I do it so that, and I'm a law-abiding citizen. If I get caught on the street and then the police officer, he has to tackle me or whatever, he grabs me and he frisks me and there's a gun on his side.
You have a yeet cannon right here on your side. You got a permit for that?
You got a permit for this? I should be able to say, yes, sir, Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. But I can't. I have to take out that piece of plastic with my picture that they haven't updated in 10 years.
They took it with a potato.
Yeah. And
there's several states who've went to constitutional carry, and hopefully that trend will keep going.
And I'm about to. I don't know if you know, but I don't know if you, the listener, know, but just because even if you live in a constitutional carry state, doesn't mean that you are completely safe. And I'll get to what I'm talking about here in a second. But also, the NRA fought to have states during the Prohibition era, not just the Prohibition, but during the era 20s and 30s. The NRA worked with lawmakers to help pass a ban on automatic weapons, specifically the Thompson submachine gun.
Yeah, they were fighting the mafia.
Yeah. Should the mafia have had the guns? And, it made a whole big deal. Well, the police officers had them too. So, I mean, it was a fair fight. So, should you take it away from Joe down the street because the mafia used them to shoot the police? No. Unconstitutional. Do you need... No, but
it's a bill of rights, not a bill of needs.
Not a bill of needs. Yeah. Would I prefer an automatic weapon? No,
No,
I like my semi-automatic.
If you laid me a full auto AR, nice one, and the same make and model semi, and said, "Hey, I need you to come with me. We got to go do cool stuff." I would pick up the semi-auto. No tier 1 guys use full auto. Very rarely.
It goes back to exactly what you said about bump stocks. Do I like them? No. Should we make a law against them? No. Any gun law is unconstitutional. National Firearms Act of 1934, Gun Control Act of 1938. And then the same happened when restrictions were passed in 1963 and 1968 following the assassination of JFK and MLK Jr. They worked with the government to pass those restrictions.
They wrote that stuff, that legislation on the grassy knoll.
Yeah. Then in 1975, this is where everything starts taking a turn and people begin to view the NRA differently. In 1975, in response to an NRA member being killed by the ATF for him having a stash, and I don't know how big the stash is, I didn't look at it, so I don't know if they're saying a stash of 3 guns. Regardless, the guy had illegal weapons because they were automatic, and they had some other things that were wrong with them that they were illegal. He was not law-abiding, but he got into this skirmish with the ATF because he believed it was his constitutional right. He ended up getting killed. Well, the NRA members go into a frenzy. They're upset. And so the NRA creates what you just said. They create the ILA. The first person that headed the ILA, the Institute for Legislative Action, NRA ILA, was headed by Harlan Carter. And Harlan Carter said, you don't stop crime by attacking guns. You stop crime by stopping criminals.
Sounds like a dude I could get along with.
Oh, yeah. And he didn't say we need to stop the criminals before they commit the crime. They're not criminals.
This is not the Minority Report.
And I'm going to get to that here in a second also. I don't need to get ahead of myself. Then, in 1977, the main NRA leaders began to oppose Marlon Carter, but they lost in the eye of the public because he became the de facto NRA leader as he became the VP of the NRA. And then now, the NRA is becoming this big formidable political power. They have the ability to advance or halt gun legislation because they hold so many political donations. We control the politicians, and herein lies the problem. They are now a political machine, and over time, if unchecked, all that people want more of is money and power, money and power, money and power.
Power searches more power.
And that's what they are. They are now a political machine searching for more money, more power, and so now they're playing both sides of the aisle.
Mm-hmm. And the 1977...
And both Republicans and Democrats think that they're this beacon of hope. If there's no NRA, there's no Second Amendment.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
1977, they had a revolt. It's called the Cincinnati Revolt. It was at an NRA annual meeting, I believe. And they basically had a revolution inside the membership, the leadership. And since then, they have structured the organization so that if you vote for a new president, you vote for a new board of directors, it really doesn't do anything because they've insulated themselves so that there's really no power. It's just a puppet government, so to speak. So I'm not a fan of the NRA. I don't think they're fixable as a gun rights group. There are other groups out there that don't have nearly the membership, but they have a better stance on what they should be. And the NRA has lost. I tried to look up the stats, but I've heard, I don't know how accurate this is, that they've lost about 1 million members in the last year and a half or so, which is 20% or roughly of their membership. So that's huge if that's true, and I believe it to be true because there's a huge movement inside the gun community to do something different because the NRA, what they've done, and just in my lifetime of being a gun guy, Obama was great for the NRA because the threat of gun control was there. Hillary, the run up to the election was great because every time Sandy Hook, every time something happened, the big scare was there, and the NRA loved it. And once Trump gets in, even though Trump, we've talked about it before on the show, is actually not that much of a pro-gun president. He's just playing the hand that he wants to play.
Right.
But the masses see him as that, and so they don't have a tragedy. Yeah. They don't have an emergency to try to sell you on. And so gun sales have went down because people aren't panic buying. They think that Trump is going to always take care of their gun rights, and he, maybe does, maybe doesn't, but it's at least better than what Hillary would have been. And so the NRA they don't have the nuke option anymore.
Right.
They don't have the scare tactic that they can use.
Yeah, they can't bring out the blinking red button.
Right.
There's nothing
Nothing to freak people out over. There was a very popular, I don't know how many people watched it, but there's a YouTube channel and Facebook group called The Gun Collective.
Mm-hmm.
And after the Vegas shooting, when the bump stock issue was hot and heavy, they did a roundtable of a bunch of industry guys and YouTube gun channel guys. And I highly suggest, if you're interested in this topic, to go watch that video. And there were several industry guys that basically, they let the cat out of the bag stupidly. They said, and if you guys know who the company Rand CLP, the little aerosol gun cleaner in a can, you can get it at Walmart. It says CLP. It's clean, lubricate, protect. The company name is Rand. Well, the guy that is the president or the CEO or whatever of that company was on that live chat, and he said basically what they were getting at was they weren't worried about gun rights. They were hurting because they haven't had the sales they'd had.
Yeah.
And they were fine with selling your gun rights down the road because it was good for business.
Right.
Because the scare made gun sales go through the roof. And they had been used to that. Every few months, there'd be a shooting, the threat of legislation, everybody runs out and buys a rifle. Mm-hmm. There are people that are going to listen to this episode, you know who you are, who you still haven't went out and bought yourself a rifle. What's it going to take?
Yeah.
I digress. But they were admitting on a hot mic that they knew they were being recorded, that poo on the Second Amendment, poo on everything. I want my business to be good.
Right.
Well, guess what? I'm a business owner. I want my business to be good too.
Yeah.
Mine does not tie into the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
But if for some reason, somehow, my business linked up to a fundamental right of our country, and to do good in business, it meant that something was getting sold down the road, I'd find another business.
Yeah.
Or I would be content with making a little less money that month.
Right.
But by Ned, to sit
you're a
there,
multi-million-dollar corporation. You're going to make your money.
To say, poo on the Second Amendment, I don't care, because I got to make millions here, and I'm worth, every time we have a scare, I make a bunch of money, and I want my business I want your businesses to do good.
Right.
Several of those guys on the round table own little gun shops, and he was saying, aren't you worried about your bottom line, your income? And one of the main guys, Mac, from the Military Arms Channel, which is a great channel, he was like, he owns a gun store called Copper Custom, and he is a no-compromise guy. I love him. He was like, no, I don't care if I have to shut the thing down.
Right.
I'm not going to prioritize my little storefront over the Second Amendment.
Yes.
But that's what the NRA has done, is they have prioritized their membership, their money. Go look up what the NRA, what Wayne LaPierre salary is. Go look up what they spend on events, catering. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like they think they're in Congress, and they're doing that with the money that you send them to fight the bad guy.
That's right.
Except they are the bad guy.
That's right. They are now supporting red flag laws. And if you don't know what a red flag law is, basically what it is, I can report with evidence or not. I can report somebody.
Hearsay is actually evidence.
Oh dear.
To quote Adam Schiff.
It's better evidence.
It's better evidence than evidence.
Evidence. Oh my goodness. But with just willy nilly, if I wanted to, but with evidence or not with evidence, I can make a call to the police or to a lawyer or to, just depending on what state you're in.
Magistrate.
You just got to call certain people in different states. I can make that call, and I report you and say I don't think that you are safe to have a weapon. I think you're a danger to yourself or other people. And without due process, they can come in without notifying you. They can come in and take your weapons. Then you can have a hearing later. But not only are the red flag laws anti-Second Amendment, they are anti-Fourth Amendment. You lose due process.
Yeah. Unreasonable search and
search and seizure.
Warrant.
There's no warrant. No, they don't have. No, all we have to do is the judge says go, and they go.
Well, at that point, a warrant is just about silly anyway.
Yeah.
Because they could get a warrant, it'd still be unconstitutional.
Right, it'd still be unconstitutional because there's no evidence behind it.
There's no accuser to confront.
And these red flag laws are called many different things. Extreme Risk Protection Orders, ERPOs, or Risk Protection Orders. Gun Violence Restraining Orders, GVROs. Risk warrants, and this is just... Indiana just tells it like it is. Proceedings for the seizure and retention of a firearm. Thank you, Indiana, for being honest with what you call yours. At least they're honest about it.
Trump is kind of for the red flag laws.
Yeah, he is. Oh, yeah. No, he's not kind of. He most definitely is.
Take the guns. Okay, I think you got to, frankly, I think you should take them. Okay, and we'll worry about the laws later. Okay.
It is absolutely mind-boggling. This is being condoned by legislatures. Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Senator Lindsey
Mr. Graham.
Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, and Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat of Connecticut, are working on a, quote, bipartisan red flag proposal. So here are the states. There's 16 states and the District of Columbia that have red flag laws. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
California.
Oh, my goodness. Shock.
Duh. These are in alphabetical order, by the way. The first one to have red flag law was Connecticut back in 1990, just so you know. California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Washington, D.C., Florida, Hawaii, Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Nevada, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, the most surprising of the list, Vermont, Washington.
Yeah, Vermont's usually a pretty free place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then being considered, they've not quite been passed yet, but they will. Michigan, Minnesota, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and then it has not reached yet. In these states, it has reached where it can be voted on.
Mm-hmm.
It just hadn't been voted on yet. But it hasn't been. There is a legislation here in this state, but it hasn't yet reached. It's been shot down.
Still in committee.
It's been shot down several times. Tennessee. And like I said, Senator Graham, Senator Blumenthal are working on a bipartisan red flag proposal, and that would be nationwide.
Yeah, it'd be a federal level.
And all states, listen, people, all states that have these red flag laws allow for the removal of weapons to be ex parte. Ex parte means without notice to the individual. If you come to arrest me for a crime that I have allegedly committed, you come to me and you say, Michael Farr, you're under arrest. Why? You're under arrest for the murder of John Doe. You have the right to remain silent. They don't have to tell you that unless they're going to ask you questions. But you see on TV,
little known fact about Miranda laws.
Unless they're going to ask you any questions other than what's your name, then
there's nothing to ask.
So anyway, just so you know, if you get arrested and they take you into the cell, oh, you didn't give my Miranda.
Sipowicz from NYPD Blue will be in there.
Okay, it doesn't matter. They have to do it before they ask you any questions about why are you here, or anything like. Anyway. But all states allow without notice to the individual. So if I have committed a crime, you are to tell me what crime I've supposedly committed, and then give me notice. I'm to be able to stand before my accuser, and then no punishment is supposed to be dealt out until I'm proven guilty. Mm-hmm. Well, this allows for guilty until proven innocent. The person is allowed to defend themselves only after the seizure of the weapons. This differs in state to state on how long the final order duration is. Final order duration in most states is 1 year. So it lasts a year until you can go back before a judge.
Spend money.
Yeah, spend money and then say, hey, I'm not a threat to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Some, just 2 states, Illinois and Vermont, it's 6 months. Still, same thing. 6 months to go stand before a judge and say, hey, I'm not a threat to myself. This is crazy. New Jersey, it's indefinite. You just got to, at some point, the person has to claim that the person claiming that the individual is a danger doesn't have to prove that you're a danger, but you have to prove that you are not.
Yeah.
So that you can get your guns back.
The onus is on you.
The onus is on you.
They have flipped
it. Guilty till proven innocent.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question might be, well, are they effective? Okay. Answer, doesn't matter. It's unconstitutional.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But yes, they are.
Freedom versus security. There's a trade-off.
Yeah.
You've traded in the wrong way.
Are they effective? Yes, they are effective, because if you take guns away from people, gun crime goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Duh.
Violent crime may not necessarily go down.
Violent crime may rise or stay the same.
Yeah.
You can be violent with your fist. You can be violent with a knife. You don't have to have a gun to be violent.
I understand the idea, but they're just stupid.
Yeah.
If somebody's a danger to themselves, let's get some evidence.
Right.
Let's arrest them. Let's lock them up.
Yep.
It's like this dude that suspected of kidnapping that girl from Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Been in jail 47 times out on the street. Yeah. Why don't you just take him out back and plug him?
Yeah.
I got a .22 rifle.
And just a quick...
I'll shoot him. I have no problem with it. He's been arrested 93 times.
Yeah,
Let's just shoot him.
It's crazy.
I don't care if he was arrested 93 times for stealing, petty theft. I'll shoot him. If y'all need somebody to shoot him, you bring him over here to the house. I'll shoot him.
No,
Now, for shooting. Now, if it's on a Thursday, somebody's been convicted 93. Because now look what we've done. Nothing. We've slapped on the wrist. We slapped on the wrist.
And you don't have to have a conviction at all. It's just, I'm taking your guns away. There's no conviction necessary.
It is so. You're putting officers' lives in danger, and you're putting the dude on the other side of the door life in danger. You don't know it's coming. 3 a.m, you get a no-knock search warrant. You know you're not a felon. You know you haven't done anything.
You're getting up with
your
gun.
You know you're not a criminal.
Right.
Criminals expect that, well, the popo might come get me.
Right.
I'm not waiting on the popo to come get me. So if I hear a crash at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, the first thought is, that's the popo. No, my first thought is that's homie hop, and I need to go clear the rooms downstairs.
I've got an AR-15. I'm coming out.
If the Claymore don't get him,
and now the police are going to shoot me because I've got a gun.
Yeah, of course.
And the idea in the media will be, red flag law, blah 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 blah. The suspect came out brandishing an AR-15.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
I put a Claymore on a Roomba. I call it a Boomba.
Boomba.
I send him around. He patrols on the main level of the house.
It's hilarious.
Of course you come to the door with the rifle. Yeah. It's crazy land. It's crazy land.
It makes no sense. And, you might think, well, these could be very useful. They could.
Yeah, it could.
But it doesn't matter. It's so unconstitutional.
If you catch one or two that really were, the spirit of these laws is they say, hey, these guys were crazy. Somebody should have called it. Somebody should have said something. We could have stopped this. Yes, maybe, possibly. But what's going to happen is you're going to catch 99 guys and put them through all this rigmarole, and you're scrapping the Constitution for something that may catch one or two. It's the trade-off ain't worth it. It's just
what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to stop, and this is what they say: we want to stop the crime
before it happens.
We want to stop the criminals before they commit the crime. How can you stop a criminal before he commits a crime? Then he's not a criminal.
Yeah,
because he hasn't committed a crime. They're going to get to the point where they're going to say, I view them as a threat, therefore you can't have, because I view you as a threat.
You cannot has.
This goes back to, and if you watch movies, if you like Marvel movies, look at Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's a great movie.
They were wanting to do that. Captain America: Civil War, same thing. Cap was on the right side. He was constitutionally thinking. There's no crime committed. How can I stop when there's no crime? Do I want crime to be committed? No, but I cannot convict somebody unless they have committed a crime. They're not a criminal. Why treat law-abiding citizens like a criminal just because you think they might be a danger? And that's the thing. Still, even if at the first hearing I get my guns back, because that's the thing. Maybe people say, but you get them back. You get your day in court. No. I have to prove.
Right.
My day in court should be you proving, and then my guns get taken away if you prove.
And that's 6 months or a year that you're defenseless.
Yeah.
What if you get killed? You get robbed.
Well, no. The initial hearing in most states is 21 days. Some it's 6 days. So you get that initial. And to be fair, you get that initial hearing at most 21 days, but still.
I've said enough on this podcast jokingly that I could be flagged. Well, of course. I get people that say this on Facebook. Hey, you shouldn't post that because they gonna know you got it. Come at me, bro. Come. If you're not on a list,
they already know.
If you're not on a list already, you're doing that patriot thing wrong.
Yeah.
You need to be on. My goal is to be on all the lists.
Every one of them.
But it's So here's the thing. These laws are unconstitutional.
Yeah. And the NRA's for them.
What's the hope that it goes to the Supreme Court and they strike it down? Right.
Yeah.
Oh, but nay. Just this last week, we had the Supreme Court, too. Elaborate on that, if you would, sir.
Yes. So the Supreme Court, after Sandy Hook, the Sandy Hook parents of the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting, they decide they're going to sue the gun maker of the gun chosen by the criminal who shot these children. Terrible situation. terrible for the parents, terrible for all those who are involved, terrible for the victims. But you cannot sue a company because somebody decided to use your product in a evil fashion. But so they sue Remington, I believe. I believe it's Remington. They sue Remington. And the Supreme Court decides that we're not going to make a decision. Basically deciding that we're going to allow you to sue Remington for this person using their rifle to kill these children. They were like, we're just not going to, we wash our hands. We're not going to say yes or no. We're just not going to do anything. But what you said was, yes, go ahead.
Right.
And that creates a terribly dangerous precedent because now somebody gets shot. I can sue that company for creating that firearm. That's it. You can sue if you've got the gun in your hand and it's just sitting there in your hand, you haven't pulled the trigger and it goes bang and you lose your hand. You can sue the company for that because it malfunctioned. You can sue the company if you pull the trigger and it don't go bang and you lose your hand in a mugging because it didn't do what it was supposed to do.
It's negligence on their part, manufacturing.
But you cannot sue a company because the product does what it's supposed to do. But even then, they didn't tell, their marketing didn't say, hey, come buy this gun and go shoot up a school.
Well, they said, I read something or saw it yesterday, they were saying because that they've marketed these like, hey, get you an AR and punch your man card. That was stupid, that was wrong marketing. No. First of all, that ain't going to punch your man card. You probably can't shoot none with it, no way.
Right.
But
learn how to shoot it, then punch
it's just marketing.
Yeah.
They didn't create the crazy. The guy, he killed his mom.
They say the same thing with Dr. Pepper and with beer and with cigarette. And they did with cigarettes back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't. You could sue the cigarette company because they told you that it was healthy, and it's not. You couldn't sue the company because they said, "Come get your man card."
No, that's a statement of blah. It doesn't mean anything.
It's a general thing. It's
just like anything. The Sandy Hook thing. I mean the Vegas thing.
Yeah.
That guy, if he had not had an AR, you know what he was? A licensed pilot. You know what he could have done? And would have killed more than 50 people.
Flew a plane.
He could have just literally got a little plane and flew it straight into the crowd.
That's right.
And he would have at least had the same, if not a much higher. Yeah. Because he could have put explosives in the plane, filled it up with fuel. You can't legislate evil. Go to England.
Yep.
They've outlawed everything.
Yep.
You know what people do? They rent U-Hauls and drive them through crowds.
Yep.
How are you going to stop that?
You cannot legislate evil.
Nope.
You can't do it. Criminals will be criminals. Don't strip the law-abiding citizen from being able to protect themselves because a criminal commits crimes.
And unfortunately, we don't have the big brother in the corner that a lot of people think that we do with the NRA.
Yeah.
There is another group or two out there that's pretty good. They've got really good footing, but they don't have the membership. One of them is called the Gun Owners of America. Mm-hmm. The vice president of that is Eric Pratt. They've also got a lot of work done with a guy, I can't remember his name. Maybe I can think of it before the end of the show, but he's a professor, and he did a bunch of research on guns. He wrote a book called More Guns, Less Crime. Just can't think of the guy's name, but Gun Owners of America is a good one. The problem is most people ain't going to get this information. Yeah. The guns guys are still going to support the NRA because they don't know all this.
And if you don't believe that the NRA supports the legislation that goes against the Second Amendment, just type in YouTube, NRA red flag. Go down to the first video that pops up that is from the NRA. You'll see Chris Cox. Just him. And then it'll be him, and then it'll pop up words. He says towards the end of the video, we need to pass risk protection orders. I didn't realize until I dug in what he was talking about. Mm-hmm. It's a fancy word for red flag laws. We need to pass risk protection orders. Blah 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 blah. That's unconstitutional. They are not for your Second Amendment right. We need, just like you said, we need other groups like the GOA, other groups who will stand up for not just the Second Amendment, all of them. Be a beacon of light so that when the government steps up and says, we're going to create a law that goes against the Constitution, we as a collective group of unified individuals say, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to take away First Amendment. You can't say this. That's hate speech. No, it's not. There's no such thing. Define that for me. But they can't because there's the one they go to is you can't yell fire in a crowded theater.
That's called action.
No, you can yell fire
if there's a fire.
If there's a fire.
Exactly.
Yeah. The yelling fire is not the crime. The yelling fire when there is no fire because people will get trampled.
To cause harm.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I encourage you, listener, I encourage you highly, do not sign on to things without researching them.
Yeah.
I never liked it when people would attribute things to Obama that he wasn't guilty of.
Yeah.
Hated that. Because give the guy credit when he does something that's legit.
Saw it on Facebook, so it must be true.
I hate it when people sign on hook, line, and sinker with Trump, and they have no idea.
Yeah.
Same thing with the NRA.
Right.
I'm not a Trumpite. I'm not a Republicanite. I'm going to side with whatever I'm going to look at. I'm going to do my research.
Yep.
The NRA will get not another dime from me
yep.
because they have proved too many times that they're willing to sell our rights down the road to further their agenda.
Yep.
Look up Ackerman McQueen. That is the NRA's in-house advertising agency. It's just funny money. It's just money changing hands. Yep. Look up Marion Hammer if you want to do some more research on this stuff. I highly recommend you to check out the Military Arms Channel's videos on the topic. There's guys, Dana Lash and Coleon Noir. They are NRA spokesmen, and I pretty much think that Coleon Noir, he's a black guy, gun rights guy. He started out on YouTube, got into guns, just had a YouTube channel. It grew. He got popular. The NRA brought him on board because he's a really good vocal activist. He's a lawyer. I think he thinks like I do, but he likes getting that NRA check.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of like, I'm hoping one day he'll come out and say something about it.
Yeah.
But a lot of these guys, they're just too much money.
Yeah.
You got 5 million members. Well, I guess 4 million now. I don't know how many have left them because of all this stuff. But the NRA, not real activists.
Yep. And as a preacher, I will live and I will die by the Bible. I won't compromise on it. I will live and I'll die by it. And as an American, I will live and I will die by the U.S. Constitution. That is just how I have decided. I firmly stand on the Bible. Firmly stand on the Constitution.
Did you decide that just because you're an American and you said, "Cool, Roger that, I'm signing on," or did you do your due diligence?
No, I believe
you read it.
Yeah,
you measured it up against your morals,
right?
And you said, "Good to go."
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you do that with the Bible? Did you just say, "Hey, Mom and Daddy raised me in church, Bible, cool"? No, you studied.
Right.
Study.
Yeah,
you must do the study. You can't just take things at face value.
And the reason that I take all of the U.S. Constitution is because I have laid it up against the Bible, and every bit of the U.S. Constitution right now fits for the Bible. If they ever create an amendment where it goes against the Bible, I will stand on the Bible first before I stand with the U.S. Constitution. Yeah. But I will not go down without a fight. If no matter what right they try to strip from me, if it's the Third Amendment, if they try to quarter somebody in my house without my consent, I will go out guns blazing. Yeah, I'll go out guns blazing.
The reason that,
and that's, don't think I'm crazy for saying that. I'm merely a patriot. You saw it on Patriotic Preachers when you clicked on the podcast.
The reason that me and Micah think the same, the reason that we're so dogmatic about the Constitution is because our rights don't come from the Constitution.
No.
They come from the Bible.
Right. Our rights are protected by the Constitution.
The author of the Bible granted us those rights.
That's right.
Our Creator. We're endowed. Yeah. The Constitution
They're
affirms
unalienable rights.
No aliens can get them.
None.
And in the words of the president on Independence Day, we will not go quietly into the night.
That's right.
We will not give up without a fight. I'm trying to talk to you about it. Will Smith will help me. And Jeff Goldblum, maybe, with his weird laugh from Jurassic Park.
There you go. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Patriotic Preachers. Let us know what you thought about it. Get in contact with us on Facebook. Just type in Patriotic Preachers. Also, email us at patrioticpreachers@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about the episode. Give us your thoughts on this topic. What do you think about the NRA? We want to know what you think. Thank you for listening to the Patriotic Preachers. I'm Micah Farr. For Cody Aubrey, we're out of here.